really think we're going to find a pilot here that'll take us to Alderaan?
Most of the best freighter pilots that we found here only watch a step. But this place could be a little rough.
I'm ready for anything. Come along, R2.
Lemon Amiga presents. A Playguide video review.
I'm Solo. I'm Captain.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Yes, indeed. If it's a fast, should I have? That has me over.
Hey there once again, welcome to another Lemon Tube Amiga Playguide and Review, and this time we'll be checking out Universe, published and developed by Core Design and released in 1994. The story begins with Boris, and Boris is a young lad who is not unlike a Marty McFly, and this time he has a bicycle instead of a skateboard. And he also has an uncle who has incredible machinery, and not unlike the Mad Doc. And so let's cycle over to Uncle George's house and stoke up the scenery and lounge around in his sitting room. You can see the graphics with this story and the book are very well presented, and we even get some great music as well. "35-bit excellence engines are the thing of the past because we already have 64, and this is being recorded on a 64-bit PC. So you can see times have moved on from the story in this game. And the story is a little bit twisty and turny, but all you need to do is to sit back and relax and wait for that to happen, and hopefully we'll get some animation. This game came on 5 discs, and you can see upon loading the first one, we crash land on an alien asteroid which is floating around another alien asteroid, and what we have to do is to make our way between one and the other. Some communication screens, we get to check out this game, and you can see it has some icons, much like all of the point-and-click adventure games, apart from maybe Beneath a Steel Sky, and even then you did get a bar of icons that you could select from your inventory. In this case, we are checking out the very first screen. We can see a satellite dish, and there isn't much we can do here at this stage. These are all the commands in the game, and it's a pretty convoluted list of commands, not an easy button press like The Secrets of Monkey Island. Checking out the copyright info, this game was programmed by Gary Antcliffe, and you might remember him from other games such as Dragonstone. He coded Yogi's Great Escape, and he even had a Ham game released, which was a Ham Bomb Jack ripoff. And you can see that was Bomb Fusion. You can see that we can also load and save a game as well from this point, and I definitely recommend saving the game every single time that you achieve anything in this game. By using the look icon, we can check out the instrument panel, and you can also see something flying around in the background. And this first screen gives away that this game is actually in 256 colours. Yes, 15 colours could be changed every scan line, and apparently there are many colours in this game. This works on OCS machines, so even an Amiga 1000 could play this game in 256 colours. That's great for static screens, but it's not too great for platformers, so that's why we didn't get many 256 coloured games on the Amiga. You can see this easily keeps up with the PC, and automatically we jump onto another asteroid where we can hopefully find a few items scattered around. That's our first item collected, and that looks like a bent metal bar. And bent metal bars are usually in these games, and they're even in Dizzy games and things like that. You can see a nice nebula in the background, and we can check out something else, but I don't think that that's a place that we can go to at this point. What we're actually looking for is a few rocks, and sometimes you can find rocks strewn about in this landscape. We'll definitely need the metal bar a little bit later on, but let's see if we can explore this area completely. And you can see the running reminds me of Another World and Flashback. Here it is, we found it, it's our first rock. It's time to rock and roll our way around the moon, and unfortunately it doesn't rotate because these are sensible solid graphics in 256 colours. Unfortunately you don't get any surface animation, but you do get sprite animation. In this case we've managed to get another floating asteroid, of which we will definitely need to make use of a little bit later. In other words, we'll definitely need to jump onto that the hard way. In the meantime, let's pick up this circuit board, and this will definitely be used in the instrument panel that we saw earlier on. The next difficult part is to get back to the first screen, the home screen, which links us back to the first asteroid that we jumped off, and getting to that point should be on the next screen. And then there's just a small maneuver of getting onto that little asteroid which is floating around. And it appears to have got myself lost, and you can see the base in the background, that's where I'm supposed to be going. And so let's just pick up another item whilst we're here. What's that? That's another rock. So we have 2 small rocks and the circuit board, which is all I think that we can collect on this little moon. So let's speed up that footage and try to get back. Here we are to the launch pad, and for this we're going to have to jump on that smaller asteroid which is floating around, and then jump off at the most opportune moment. That is made easier if you can jump onto that on the screen before it, and so we'll just try an experiment to see if that's even possible. And the jump of course isn't even on the main screen. If you mistime the jump, then you'll end up landing safely on the asteroid somewhere else, and if you jump onto it at one point it will take you around the entire thing and loop itself around to where you want to go. So it's not really important how you jump onto that thing or whereabouts, just simply getting onto that thing in the first place. Because of the amazing control system in this game, you have to go through 2 menus just to get to the jump. You can't just press a key, so timing something in this case is made all the more difficult. Finally, with the asteroid in a nice position, let's see if we can sort it out. Let's see if we can make that leap. And now we spin around on the top of that asteroid in time with it. We spin around at a different rate depending on where we've landed on the asteroid, and if you land right in the middle then you'll go dizzy, but unfortunately we don't get any dizzy speech bubbles in the game, and what we do get is hard puzzles. So let's jump off again and let's make our way back to that satellite dish and see if we can't wreck it or fix it one way or the other. Will helpfully print can't do that or can't use that if you get something wrong, and you'll get something wrong 99.999% of the game until you find the correct solution. In this case we can't simply use the crowbar on the panel to get it open. As we try to go through these, let's just speed up that footage, hopefully again, and let's just see what actually works, and in this case, insert is correct. That means we've gained access to that circuit board, so hopefully it means we can now pick it up, or at least pick up that panel, but we can't, and we can't seem to insert the circuit board in there either. What we are supposed to do, obviously, is try again until you hit that sweet spot, and eventually it will work. Let's insert that into the panel. For some reason it still hasn't worked, we still haven't got a drawbridge over to the next level, so let's just insert the card into the machine, and that means that we now have an uplink terminal. We can't do much at this point, but we can, if we fall over it by accident, we can set off the bridge which links us to the other side. Most of the things on this game are definitely baffling, and connecting channels in this case, I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to do, but it definitely opened and closed that bridge, which means we can now walk across it. Also take this opportunity to check out the filtration system, and I guess you have to set this early in the game because this was in the clues that I got whilst trying to figure this game out. And so the clue is to switch off that filtration system at that particular point. How is the player supposed to know that? I have no idea, but it seems to be the first option, so at least try out the first option of every one of these communication screens, and you can see that all the rest of it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Exit that and hopefully make our journey towards the purple world, where the game actually starts off proper. we can talk to all the characters, hopefully, in the game, and they will give us some information. And this screen definitely reminds me of the robot demo, the famous Commodore robot demo, where the robots walk down the street. And so you can see that the 256 colours definitely make this game something special. And at this point, we haven't got a clue what we need to do. We actually need to get into that very end building. You can see where it says another door. And so if we interview some people and check a few things out, hopefully we'll go in the right direction. But let's check out these exhaust pipes as well, because maybe they can be useful. How is the player supposed to figure out that they're supposed to crawl down that particular hole? And by scanning the garbage, hopefully we'll uncover a mirror, which is another vital item that we need in the game. Now, of course, just a small matter of repeating our success with that small looping asteroid, jump onto that, and manage to get ourselves all the way back to the start again. Luckily, this game doesn't tend to do lots of looping and forcing the player around, but at this very early stage it does that, and that can be a bit annoying. We also have to time our exits, and if we jump off just at the wrong place, you either refuse to jump or maybe you've missed it and you'll land again back on the surface. We've accomplished it by trial and error and luck, so let's make our way back again to the village and let's see if we can get into the last door in that complex. Surprisingly, the game area isn't too large and there aren't too many screens in the game, particularly at this point, and you might think that this game is massive, but it's deceptively small. So let's check out around this corner, which doesn't appear possible, but it is, and now we can check out another location. All of these things give us absolutely no idea what we're supposed to do in the game, and if you run towards that door you'll get shot by the laser. So what we have to do is to use the mirror, and hopefully that will defeat the laser in this case. Let's just save our progress in case we get fried, and that's also definitely a recommended tip. After we die, we are given a helpful or semi-helpful information or hint as to where we went wrong. Then it gives us a nice rendition of the box art, and it's a pity that that beautiful box art isn't actually on the title page of the game. You have to see that when you restart it. Let's restart again from the laser now that we've made it this far, and now that we only have a limited number of items in our inventory. can test out those lasers with a small rock, but what will really do the trick, hopefully, is the mirror. And it's been some time since I recorded this game, but I definitely seem to remember that the mirror in this particular case is the thing to use. And that blows up both of the lasers, and then we'll get a splendid message, and hopefully maybe someone will pop out of the top window and give us some advice. The person that we seek is again in the last door that we can see, and I'm not quite sure whether you need to knock on that door or not, but let's just check out the end room anyway. We can use the door console and knock on the door, and the girl inside is the one that we need to find. At this point you might think that this is a sidekick, but no, this is just a little bit of a side mystery, and we can get some information from this character about what we're supposed to do. Sophia, in this case, is a brave warrior working for the rebels, and at this point I don't really want to mention that the major influence for this game was obviously Star Wars. Save it up again just in case anything untoward should happen, and in this game it usually does, because if you make a wrong move you will simply die and have to try again. Yes, to get out of this particular puzzle you can't just press or open the keypad, you have to attack it with the metal bar, and any other command won't get you through that puzzle. Having made it through that impossible puzzle that I only realised and found out by reading the walkthrough, we are now in a cupboard opening situation where we can find some more goodies. Maybe this will contain a disguise, or maybe not, and maybe those controls and those console dials over the bed are simply a red herring. First challenge is simply figuring out how to open the door, and so let's go through a few options. Resistance is useless, but it is also futile unless you know the correct combination of maneuvers to get yourself out of each room. And so in this case, the blue herring rather than the red one is the window. We're supposed to open that window and climb out. Yes, only by using that particular uniform or suit can we have access to the arm, and the arm will then interface with the computer. Then we are given a number of baffling items. Most of those are insignificant, but the Windows shutter is the one thing that we really need to concentrate on. And I'm obviously doing something maybe at random, or I'm maybe even activating something for later on, because I've read the walkthrough and it's been some time since I played this game. How is anybody supposed to know about this? I have absolutely no idea. But that's the window open. Let's step through it onto our next adventure. Next task is to figure out how to operate the vehicle, which is nicely parked outside. And so if you use the computer arm with the vehicle, that will then switch on. Now in a futuristic vehicle, and in front of us are lots of blank instrument panels, and at this point we have no idea of what to do. At this point I ignored the walkthrough and see if I could figure it out for myself, and obviously I couldn't because I had to refer to it eventually. Speed that game up as I go through a few of the options, and at this point I'd just like to say that the atmosphere in the game is really good, and when it kicks in, the atmosphere combined with the graphics makes this game a joy. But the atmosphere in this case is outbalanced by the difficulty of those puzzles. Point, the game gives us a hint that we're supposed to look at the owner's manual, and the owner's manual in this case is the printed manual which came with the game originally. So if you had this game originally and it came with the printed manual, now's the time to dig that box up, flick through all of the pages, find the relevant page, and then you can enter the right code. Just like the Secrets of Monkey Island, it gives us a cutscene, but then before we can even do anything, we're then intercepted by a space pirate. This space pirate will intercept us at various stages throughout the game, and you can give him different things to get rid of him, but for the moment I haven't got anything except for a bent crowbar in my possession, so let's just try to fob him off with a useless pathetic answer and hope that he lets us go. See, in the back of the space pirate, for that time being, we now have control of a space vehicle. And now this is where the game really begins, because now we can use this space vehicle to visit various locations in space. So we can navigate course. Let's check out that star map, and there are various locations that we can land on, and by moving our cursor over those and clicking, hopefully it will give us some information. You can see space is huge and there is lots of information to check out on this map, virtually all of it absolutely useless. See, we are at the end of a cluster of planets, and by scrolling around we can see other places, and I'm not quite sure how many of those that you can actually visit in this game, but it's only the closest planets that we're actually concerned about at this point, and this being a light utility vehicle, I don't think you can go any further than those. So let's click around and let's see what we can find. That's an asteroid cluster. We don't want to go there because that's the start of the game. And let's click on this one. This is planet number 7, a volcanic planet. And so would we go to there? Joyce left 4, uninhabited rock, and Loxus 3, a barren rocky planet. So where have we seen barren rocky planets before? So one of these must have something that we need. So let's lay a course to the end one and work our way backwards. Now that we have arrived around that planet orbit, we need to descend to the planet's surface, and for that we need to select where we are going to descend to by selecting the quadrant, and I'm not quite sure, but this planet is necessary to do that or not. And so let's select the quadrant right now and make sure that we land in the right spot. Let's select the upper right corner and let's hope that that is the right place. Let's pick this up. This is another item that we need, and all of the items that you can find lying around are actually necessary in the game, I think. And checking out this one, it reads that it's stitched at pest repellent for those larger than average pests. Kills all known pests dead. Do not ingest, do not spray in enclosed spaces. We also have a food container, and I guess we'll need that if we get hungry. The identity card, and also we have the magic wrist computer that we managed to get with this suit. This means we can walk around on planet surfaces without a helmet, and usually if you exit north, south, east and west, there is an exit door usually along that line, but you'll have to exit directly on the line in order to exit the room, and that's something that's worth remembering. Right now I'm looking for a secondary item that I'm supposed to be finding, and here it is. You can see that's right in front of a wrecked ship. Let's investigate this. What is it? Well, it seems to be a trap, and we will definitely use this trap a little bit later on. Checking out this, it's a small droid and it's a sanitation droid which kills all pests. So we now have a spray to kill the pests and we also have a remote droid as well. You need both of them to get rid of the pests that have just materialised around our ship. That's why I didn't return there earlier. So now we've got those two items that I only found out by reading the walkthrough. It's time to return back and get into our ship and check out the next planet. Not quite sure what that thing was that bounced out, but let's leave it alone for now. Let's jump back into that ship and let's get on to our next destination. And certain elements of this game remind me of other games and other games that we've seen already, and definitely other space adventures. And this definitely borrows from a number of genres, including maybe Captain Blood and maybe other games that we've seen. So let's check with the second barren rock. It's an uninhabited rock, so that's the place for us. Let's lay down a course, set off. Select the quadrant, and this time let's select a different quadrant. Let's select the upper right, and of course if you find no objects in any of these quadrants, that's one to avoid. So you will waste a bit of time wandering around if you pick the wrong one. But with these particular levels, if the planet's small enough, maybe you can even loop it. And so let's save it up there, just in case we find something again which kills us. And I've labelled the other one car. If we didn't have the manual right there, we'd still be stuck trying to activate that car. This is a bit of a devilish puzzle, and again it gives us the solution straight away, but it isn't obvious. Now that we have that rock, we'll have to hopefully lob that, maybe into the hole or even at the creature, and that should do something. He spits out another creature which then multiplies, and yes, if you wait for these things to multiply enough before picking them up, it means you can pick up more. Now have those items thanks to the droid, so let's move on to another area and let's check out another quadrant. Oh well, that's too dangerous. So at this point in the game, even giving us a helping hand by blocking off the avenues which are ordinarily useless. So let's choose the final option, and maybe here we will face another danger, and maybe we can find something which actually helps us in our quest. And if this is anything like Star Wars, we should find Yoda at some point, and look at that, at this point the emulation crashed, so I had to reload it all over again. The WHD load version is a bit flaky, and so you'll have to watch out for that if you're playing this game, particularly on an 030, which is how I'm actually playing it. But now you can see a suspicious hut and a character outside. Let's interview that character and see what he has to say. Always gives us a similar array of questions. Some of those will be interesting, some of those will be funny, and sometimes you can have a laugh with these questions. Of course, you won't actually ask them unless you need to. So let's interview this old guy, and obviously you can see, weren't you in Star Wars? Yes, because this is a rip-off of a Yoda character. So hopefully he can enlighten us into one or two things. By using those blobs that we managed to multiply earlier on, we've got ourselves a stone item. This is Carbide, and this is not like kryptonite, and it looks like it's a refined crystal. So no idea at this point how to use that. I think that's one of the magical items that we can give the space pirate, and he will leave us alone. So that's worth picking up. It will save us a job later on. Now that we've met Yoda, it's time to move on to the third planet in the series in this play guide, and this is just the start of the game. This isn't really deep into it, and we won't be leaving this play guide for a little while. That's why it runs on for a bit. But at the end of this gets you through the intro and gets you on to the deep mission. The first one is a little bit later. You can see we're now heading, hopefully, for the asteroid, it seems, because maybe we have enough items to continue with the mission. This game follows itself on rails, and if you get the combination right, all you have to do is that, and you can progress. If you get it wrong, it doesn't give you any hints whatsoever, so sometimes you might be wandering blindly as to what to do. In this case, we're going to dump off the Corvite in order to dump this dummy, and that should mean he can leave us alone, and we can continue. You can see, in order to pull that off, we need to dock with the alien, and the docking sequence we can use the mouse and the mouse buttons for the thrust. In order to do the deal, we beam down to a planet's surface, and here we are. Well, not actually on a planet, but it's actually a space station, and this bay allows us to get to other bays, and this guy manages to finish us off before we even get there. Luckily our suit is protected against blows like that, and so therefore, lucky for you, it was just a stun. You can see underneath the spaceship reminds us of the Millennium Falcon, but what we have to do right now is to leave this area and to move to a number of identical bays in order to search for more items. Jumping into our car, we can leave the landing bay, which is where we are at the moment, and then we can access some other areas. Some of those it will tell us that we can't reach, and some of those we can. And so it's potluck at the moment finding the way to go. You can scroll around a map similar to many Commodore 64 games that I've seen, and it's good that the landing bays are at least clearly marked so that you have access to those. If you go to the wrong one, then the door will be closed, and so you'll have to jump back in the car. It's a great star effect as we're in this space station spinning around, and it's those little touches which are really impressive. And if you have the walkthrough, just like the guide to a story, you can get through the chapters of this novel. Next we find a toolkit, and toolkits are always handy in all adventure games. Let's push the droid out of the way and grab the loot. Let's lay in a course to the next landing bay, and there are quite some to land at. Most of those are red herrings, but eventually you'll find one with the door wide open, which means that we can check out the inner complex. And that's important in this game because that means that we get to further the scenario, and this game does not hold the player's hand. And yes, even future arcade machines are in this game, even though arcades definitely faded out in the 1980s and early 90s. And so this is a terminal where we can check out maybe our bank balance, and all the crimes against us. We'll definitely need to make use of that. And in this game there are often hidden areas that you need to get through. In order to get to the area that we want to get to, we actually want to go to the yellow doorway towards the left middle of the screen, and that's semi-hidden from view, but if you're looking for that doorway, then you can obviously see it. Right now I'm checking out this terminal, and maybe if we check out our ID card it will give us some information. Apparently not, and so, well, let's check out the arcades, and they seem to be very active with people playing games. Our next opportunity arrives in the cantina, or otherwise the bar, and here we can find a number of likely reprobates who will give us some information in exchange for a kindly worded conversation. And so let's check out this area, and unfortunately even the next area is a red herring. There's no door through there. So what we're supposed to do is to talk to the first guy, and I think we're supposed to even ply him with a drink. And so let's check out the console and look at that. Even in this game it gives us a game of Space Invaders. Minigames in universe are very infrequent indeed. All of those require us to use that mouse, and it's definitely a mouse game, and so I can only imagine that this was released on the PC, definitely had a CD32 release, and maybe that even had voice space sound effects. You can see that all we gain is score from the Space Invaders, so let's just die and let's just try to ply that guy with a drink. It's fun to see everything moving about in this futuristic landscape, but you can see by the size of the screen, they could have filled the screen area a bit more with more graphics. Not that the graphics are bad in this game, but this being an indoor area, maybe they wanted to create an indoor effect, and I think the graphics overall are very well drawn, with even animation over some of the characters. We'll need to take some of that brandy around for later. Let's check out this landscape, and we can see some more screens that we can interact with, and a guy down there who looks like an Obi-Wan character with a big grey beard. Let's check out the screens first of all and see if they deliver anything towards us. Turns out it's a dispenser, and we need one of the items inside this dispenser for later on, and it's a depression drink, and we'll probably need to mix that with the brandy to make the guy go haywire. Heading back to the bar, we can do some magic to combine items. Let's combine the synthetic magic ingredient with the brandy, and we can use that to hopefully knock out this guy. It's important that we collect the badge, because the badge gives us more authority around the place, and I think he's the chief of police or some other important figure, so having that badge will help us. looks like we've managed to fall over Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan is definitely wrong in this case, but he will give us some information that we need, and he will send off those pirates as well. And so sometimes the characters who are in this game are simply lying around for us to interview. That sets off another minigame where we can see more 256 colour action, which reminds me heavily of Blade Runner. In this part, we have to use our craft to bounce the others off the road or out of the way, and we can shoot those, but it takes ages to shoot them out of the sky, so I don't tend to bother. It's just better to ram them out. And you can see other things can be blown up as well, and mines are around and different enemy firepower as well, so it's best to avoid everything to make your way down this street. And out of all the minigames, I definitely think that this one is one of the more impressive. You can get killed in that section, and I have died on that section a number of times, so let's just complete that, and we get to a jetpack man, and maybe he will give us another item. We are negotiating for is a healer's hand, and the beggar that we saw a little bit earlier on with the beard, that's his hand that's been cut off by these guys, and so we're now heading back to the healer to sew on or give him back his hand, and he'll probably shake hands with us with it and put it in his pocket. Subplots in this game are convoluted, and I'm not quite sure if those are really interesting or not. They add to the atmosphere along with the graphics and the music, and they didn't have to go into all of this depth to describe this world. And I guess it's important to interview everybody and read every word in order to understand what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to go. But in this case, a cutscene leads to another, and it's not difficult to progress. At this point, the game crashed again, and perhaps I should have disabled one of my caches or something on the WHD load, but all we have to do is to go to that corner, that entrance, which is pretty much invisible again unless you're looking for it, and that opens up another Blade Runner-like screen. Here we need to figure out how to operate a lift, and then move on to the next screen after that. I hope you remembered to pick up the cable, because if you didn't, then unfortunately you can't get off this screen, and it's picking up all of those items from the walkthrough, which is helping me at this point, because if I didn't, this game would be a bit too difficult. And this reminds me a little bit of Beneath the Steel Sky, but if you spent an hour trying to work out the puzzles, you could actually do it by trial and error. In this game, you could spend a month or a year trying it, and it still wouldn't give you any help or advice. In this case, what we're supposed to do is jump on top of a moving train in order to get to the next location. So we need to use the jump command again and time our maneuvers so that we can jump just at the right point. Though we appeared to go under the wheels, sometimes you can appear to land on the roof, but in any case, we've made it through to the spaceport, and in the background you can see something that ominously looks like a carrier from the Star Wars movies. And so what we need to do is to figure out where we're supposed to go. If you walk into the hangar, it does nothing, and so we're supposed to get to the lower level from where we are at the moment, which doesn't seem obvious. So the first objective to do is to climb out from the top of the train, jump onto an adjacent column, and then climb down that onto the next level. Now we're going to have to figure out how to get down to the next level after that. In order to get into the starport, you might notice a very small square again next to a doorway, and so that very small square is only just large enough for our mini droid computer, reminding us of Beneath a Steel Sky. Let's bung the droid in there, see if it fixes anything and opens up the door for us. And that opens up the door to the spaceport, in other words, on this space station. And this is Wheel World, apparently, because we are in a wheeled space station. You can see our helpful droid is now opening the door, and that means that we get another area to explore. This place is pretty busy, but there is a lack of items that we can interact with at this point. Unfortunately, our droid is just fried opening the door, so we can't collect that again, and so all that time and trouble that we spent trying to get that thing to work is now discarded. Just like the woman who is now dead, and our friends who have been chopped up, mutilated and destroyed, it's another one of those redundancies, so people don't have a vested interest in characters moving through the game. It's just the one character, he's moving around like the angry video game nerd, and the items on the icon bar reminds me of Mike Matei. So here we go, let's interact with another terminal, and in this case it looks like we're supposed to be boarding a domestic airline or a spaceship. Let's try to book tickets on that, because that happens to be the next part of the game. And it's as simple as that. We are now ready to board the ship. So whilst we board the ship, let's just run through those scores. And Amiga format gave this game the lowest score with 38%. Math Evans said he hated the control system and the poor puzzle layout, and the poor puzzles and the control system definitely let this game down. and so 38% from Amiga format. The next highest was Amiga magazine, who gave this 70%. Lemon Amiga awarded it 76%. Amiga Action gave Universe 79%. And Amiga Joker gave this 80%. Amiga Games gave it 80%. Amiga Computing also gave this 80%. And who would credit that this game is 256 colours? And so the Games Master magazine, yes, it was actually going at the time of this release. Games Master magazine gave this an amazing 86%. The One gave it 87. CMVG gave it 87. Zero Amiga gave this 87. And the highest score in this case went to Amiga Dream, who awarded Universe an amazing 93%. That gives this an average score as a Back to the Future Blade Runner rip-off of 8.5 out of 10. Now aboard a passenger liner cruising our way through towards our next destination, and there are a number of puzzles to solve whilst we are here, and it doesn't make it any easier because the ship is split onto a number of decks, and so just like wandering from planet to planet, you'll have to go through all of the decks. On one of the decks you'll find an argument, and if you settle that argument, hopefully you'll gain something. And so we are in the liner lounge at the moment. We can go down to the launch bay, or we can go up to one of the residential areas. Let's select the first one, and let's haphazardly jump into that. Let's see if it gives us any kind of reward. And yes, this is the conversation that we're supposed to pile into and stop these guys, hopefully, from hitting each other. This place is also thick with rooms, and if you know the right room to answer by using the panel, then we can enter that, and that also reveals another nice part of the game where we gain ourselves a module. This is actually our cabin, our interior cabin. From here we can relax, watch some TV, and we can even check out a virtual 3D representation of a guy who says he's Boris Verne, not Jules, and he is actually a friend of the Rebel Alliance. He will give us some more information for free, a bit like Princess Leia, and you can see he's attempting to break us into the backstory of the game. So that's just about where I'm going to leave it, exploring this. This is maybe a third of the way into the game. There are still many adventures still to come. We've got ourselves around the galaxy and onto a star cruiser. So thank you once again for watching another Lemon Amiga player guide and review, and I hope to see you again in another one sometime soon.